episode of Series 2 of our autumn edition of the Zendesk Morning Show. This series has been a whirlwind tour stop of many topics, from adapting to the shifting customer journey and preparing for peak, to a reimagined employee workplace, an enhanced agent experience, to agility in this new world of operating. In today's episode, what better way to wrap up the series than to focus on leading with a values-driven leadership session to improve your customer experience. To kick us off on the topic of a values-driven culture, how to adapt to remote leading by leaning into your values, and to learning how personal values can help guide our decisions, I'm pleased to invite Emma Turner, Executive Performance Coach and founder of Zegnos, to join us today.
Hi there, everyone. Do you know, I get to coach some incredible leaders who inspire greatness in others and who truly embrace values-led or purpose-driven leadership. But what exactly is values-led leadership, and how can it help us as leaders improve not only our customer and team experience, but our capacity to lead, particularly in these uncertain times where many leaders are now leading virtual teams through multiple challenges? From my experience, adapting to virtual leadership can be tough, as it's really hard to read a room, difficult to see what people are doing or how they're feeling, and we're not likely to bump into them by the coffee machine so that we could simply check in. Therefore, in order to lead, support, and ignite our teams and our customers, we need to lean into our values. Simon Sinek has said that people don't buy what we do, they buy why we do it. Let's talk about the recent election campaigns of Donald Trump and Joe Biden, for example, in the US. Why did so many people turn out at their rallies, even during this pandemic? Why did a record number of Americans vote this November? Well, the answer is not on the individual policies of either leader, nor is it because they were told to turn out. The answer is simply because supporters believed in what either Trump or Biden believed in, and that created a force, a string of emotions that drove people to turn out en masse. What we're talking about here are our personal and shared values, those deeply held beliefs that we have that guide and drive our actions and behaviours. If you think that we make about 35,000 decisions every single day, but the one thing that guides those decisions are our personal values, they act like a compass. Have you ever made a decision that somehow just doesn't feel right and you wondered why? Well, it's likely to be that it didn't sit in line with your values. What I've noticed, and you may have done so too, is that this COVID crisis is a real test of a person's leadership. On the one hand, I can tell you countless stories of incredible leaders I coach who lead with integrity, compassion, empathy, and trust. They put people before profit. They check in with their teams and drive a collaborative culture. So many of these leaders are overperforming despite this pandemic. People want to work for them and customers want to do business with them. But on the other hand, I can tell you about a few leaders who are not leading with their values, but maybe leading from a place of fear and anxiety. They may value winning above relationship. These leaders are more likely to micromanage than trust that their teams are just doing the best they can or trust in the strength of their customer relationship. So the question is, are you clear on your values? What do you stand for? What do you believe in? Do you buy into your corporate values? And even more importantly than that, do you use these personal and shared values as a compass to drive your actions and behaviours and decisions? Because if you do, then your leadership will just feel right, and your teams and customers will trust you and want to follow you. Because remember, we can't be a leader without followers, and people don't follow us because they have to. They follow us because they want to, because of a deeper, more human connection. Thank you.
Let's shift gears now and hear from two Chief Customer Officers on how they are leading in their organisations. Our first guest speaker is Caitlin Fritz from Marley Spoon, who will share with us how one of their core values of sustainability is a driving force in decisions that they make as an organisation. The importance of transparency and vulnerability to both employees and customers alike, and how customer experience can be enhanced by listening to the emotional signals from your customers. Welcome to Caitlin and our favourite comms leader in EMEA, Erica Velchis.
Thanks, Perlini. I'm joined today by Catalin Fritz. She's the Chief Customer Officer of Marley Spoon, which is a meal kit provider and subscription service to help families and friends manage their weeknight cooking. Marley Spoon operates under two brands, Marley Spoon and Dinnerly, and they're operating in the US, Australia, as well as 6 European countries. So thank you for joining me, Catalin.
Thank you for having me.
So first, looking at Marley Spoon's business model, it becomes clear that values are another core ingredient, so to speak, as part of the meal kits. Sustainability, family, and customer obsession. So how do you incorporate these values into your business internally?
I would say in all possible ways. So let me start with the sustainability. Sustainability is a very core part of our company values. And I would say was one of the main reasons to start the business. So we aimed since day one to reduce the food waste overall in the world, offer great quality food for everyone, regardless is about families or other customer and potential customer groups. And overall, with all of these, reducing food waste and providing on a responsible way our customers overall long term also contribute to the health of our planet. So I feel that this is in everything what we are doing. Now, the second thing you asked when is about families and tradition, and I would say that our core customer group for both our brands are still the young families, dominantly families with 2 kids, younger professionals, mom and dad. However, and this is also connecting to your statement and question in regards of customer obsession, nothing changed on the long-term vision from our end, that we really aim to be a meal kit company and a service company for everyone. So we want to understand way better than we understand today on data level even. Therefore, we invest a lot in our customer insights and customer experience analytics. What else can we build for our customers outside of the meal kits even, which are helping them to solve recurring problems?
We're going through a certainly unique period right now with the coronavirus outbreak, and it makes some of those values more difficult to live by. How have you felt that impact, and how have you dealt with those challenges?
If I think on the customer experience level, because obviously, as you mentioned, our business is a subscription-based business. So for us, it's key that we retain our customers, and to be able to retain our customers, we need to understand our customers. So we need to listen very attentively also to all those emotional signals what our customers are giving, not only the purchase signals, to be able to understand how to support. Maybe one important fact from customer experience, what I would like to mention here is that that our contacts landing on the customer service part dominantly are not issue-related contacts. So roughly 50-60% of our contacts are really about care, listening, advising. So I feel that we do a lot, and we did significantly more because during the pandemic, especially in the start of the pandemic, because our customers really did want to share their needs and experiences with us. Also, we did a lot, and here I come closer also to how much are running hand in hand the employee experience and the customer experience, that we also realized that we need to bring these two things way more closer than we did in the past. So we did build up a kind of parallel approach that on the same way how we continuously asked our team members and employees how they feel themselves via surveys and other initiatives. On the same way, we communicated regularly also and parallel with these steps towards our customers through CEO emails and various other ways to understand and let them understand that similarly to them, we are also human beings, and both as individuals and company, we are also struggling sometimes to serve on the best way due to the circumstances. And I feel that this kind of opened up approach, showing vulnerability on all levels, asking for teaming up and share our opinions and feelings helped a lot to create trust both externally and internally, and helped a lot to overall to double up our business within a very short period of time.
Oh, that's fantastic. And I think probably a lot of our viewers are going through similar challenges during this ongoing pandemic. So are there any key learnings that you can share with them about what has worked particularly well for you to sustain those core values?
Marley Spoon, since day one, what I experienced regardless of the pandemic, that is an organization which deliberately is building a high level, I would even say an enormous level of transparency. So a couple of examples, we record our leadership meetings, we immediately share in the organization, we open up on our all hands meetings all about our financials. So I would say in some cases even sensitive data. So since day one, anyone is joining the company can feel that is part of this family, and we are looking on everyone like one of core team member contributing in a way that we are very diverse, but we all have our own specifics. So for sure, everyone could have great ideas how to improve this business better. Now, let me use this word that we maxed out this during the pandemic times, and this is still what we are using and doing, that we build on this high level of trust and ownership and leadership, individual leadership and family feeling. And we enabled our team members to do things what they believe that helps us as an organization to do our best in this pandemic.
Well, amazing. Lots of great advice and tips there. So thank you again for joining us, Catalin, and back over to you, Pralini.
Thank you, Erica, and thank you, Caitlin, for your openness and sharing what you are doing at Marley Spoon. Our next guest and CCO is someone I've had the pleasure to know and work with for over 8 years now. Pat Phelan and I worked together for a number of years, and a small fun fact, we had another leader who formed our EMEA leadership team whose name was Paul. So the three of us were known as P3 during those years. We even had a logo and all. Since then, Pat and I have stayed in contact, and he's gone from strength to strength and leads by always putting customers first at the heart of everything he and his team does. Today is the Chief Customer Officer at Go Cardless and continues to lead the way in CX leadership, values and delivery. Pat joined us for a live morning show Q&A a few weeks ago, so if you missed it, make sure you check it out on LinkedIn. Today, Pat will be sharing the importance of diversity in an organization and their coined phrase being part of a customer's critical network. Welcome, Pat Phelan, and welcome to our customer success leader, Darren Parker.
Thank you, Pralini. My name is Darren Parker. I run customer success in EMEA for enterprise. And I'm pleased to say I'm joined today by Pat Phelan, who is Chief Customer Officer for Go Cardless. Hi, Pat.
Hi, Darren. Good to be here.
I was looking at the website recently, and I think one of the things that you call out on that is around diversity, and that diversity really being a strength and an opportunity for you as well. Can you expand on that a bit?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a word that gets bandied around a lot, and like anything, it's only real when the rubber hits the road. And I got to say, in my experience at Go Cardless, and certainly my experience from a leadership perspective, it's something that we take incredibly seriously. And what I'm always really impressed with, particularly with our CEO Hiroki, is it's always top down. It's something that in every conversation that we have, when it comes to our people, when it comes to opportunities, when it comes to sort of, how we're evolving and how the teams are evolving, the lens of diversity is one that's very natural. It's a very natural conversation. It doesn't feel, forced or, that we're ticking a box necessarily. And then that sort of trickles down throughout the whole organization. We've got incredibly active groups within Go Cardless, from BAME, to LGBTQ plus to female representation. And what I love about it is, again, it's never been something that's actually just there. It's really, really encouraged to be provocative, to sort of educate. I mean, particularly, over the last couple of months, as we've been through some of those horrific incidents in the US, particularly, the teams just have come to the table across the business with some just, incredible, from advice to challenging perspectives to really bringing everybody into the conversation. And I've learned just such an enormous amount over that period, even from a personal perspective. So, there's nothing sort of off the table when it comes to it. We're very committed to it and everything that comes from that. And, I say it myself with my own teams, it really does, as a business, force us to sort of hold a mirror up to our own sort of biases and the way we approach things. And honestly, I'm so impressed with how, the company has sort of tackled that, and we believe in it incredibly.
And have you seen any of that change recently? Obviously, with all the changes that the businesses are having to go through right now, and us as individuals, have you seen any focuses change for the individuals of the business around values?
Yeah, I think the values have really come into play. We have 4 core values of start with why, take pride, we act with integrity, and be humble. So, that's their values that we've really, as a business, tried to lift to. But now that we're in this kind of period, those have really come into sharp focus, because now, as I've said many times, this is where your values become reality and not just, truisms. And I think one of the things that certainly as a business we've sort of pivoted toward over the last 3 to 4 months is this kind of term or phrase that we've kind of coined and landed on, of being part of our customers' critical network. Right now, all of our customers, irrespective of what industry we're in, have a critical network that they need to rely on, and it's up to us whether we're part of that or not. And I think I'm a firm believer in however we act or acted during that period will resonate way beyond, this period. So my kind of guidance to the team was, when we look at our value of be humble and to act with integrity, it's, put yourself in our customers' shoes, really, really forget about the playbook for now, forget about, worrying about things that really don't matter outside of this particular point in time, where we have customers whose, their businesses are on the line, their livelihoods are on the line. And I mean, it's such an emotive topic and an emotive conversation that, it's critical that we are seen as that organization or that part of that network that actually did see them through this, or at least were consistently transparent and replicated the urgency that our customers had ourselves. Mm-hmm. So that's something that I've been really passionate about driving across my org and the company as a whole. And I feel like we've done a pretty good job. We'll never get it right, obviously, all the time, but I think allowing the team to have that as their guiding principle has made a very big difference. I've seen people come out of their shell. I've seen people sort of approach things differently. I've actually seen customer feedback that has moved from being transactional praise to personal praise.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So it's about the individual, not the fact that the individual solved the problem. And that's super powerful. Like you can't buy that kind of connectivity. So that's not a deliberate thing in my part, from my side, in terms of I don't care what the outcome is necessarily for Go Cardless. That's not the priority. The priority is that we get our customers through these times.
Pat, thank you so much for sharing your experience with us today. I think we'll head back to Polini now. Thanks.
Pleasure.
Thank you, Pat and Darren. Leadership and values go hand in hand. Someone that is at top of her game, that leads the way for us at Zendesk, not only with her financial acumen, but her leadership as executive sponsor on many diversity programs at Zendesk, from Mosaic to empowering women in leadership. I'm super pleased and proud to have our CFO and a remarkable trailblazing leader join us today. Please welcome Elena Gomez.
Thanks, Perlini, for having me on the final episode of the morning show. I'm flattered to be your final guest. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Elena Gomez. I'm the Chief Financial Officer of Zendesk. I'm also a proud mom of 2 girls. This year has been a crazy year all the way around, super unexpected, of course. And all of us have had to reimagine how we work, how we engage with our employees, how we engage with our customers, etc. And so that brings me back to the topic of the day. When I think about leadership and values and leading an organization in a time like this, I'm reminded of what my friend Jeff Titterton said in the first episode of the morning show. In case you missed it, Jeff talked about 2020 being a year where everything has changed and yet nothing has changed. And this resonates a lot with me because companies that we all know, the companies that have great performance, the companies that we come to love, one thing that they all have in common is they lead with values and lead with a ton of integrity. So what I thought I would do is share a little bit about my values I think about, especially in 2020 as we've gone through just an unprecedented time. And these values are both values in the workplace, but also even in my home that I try to share with my girls. So the first one is being a leader. The second one is around listening and speaking up. And the last one is about being resilient. So being a leader means so many things. And one thing I've learned is leaders definitely emerge in unprecedented times, in times of crisis, in times when a lot is unknown. And so I've been really encouraged by seeing a lot of my own team members and colleagues step in when they wanted to lead. So I would say don't be afraid to lead during this time, especially if you see a gap right in front of you. The other thing I would say that has really been important in leadership is really continuing to be consistent and transparent with both your employees and your customers. The second thing I talked about was listening and speaking up. This year has been another unexpected year around social unrest and social inequality. I don't know that we would have thought that these issues would emerge and become front and center, but they have. And so one thing I've focused on is really listening to my employees and listening in some cases to my customers on these topics that normally you might not bring to the workplace. But after all, work integration is such a part of who we are, especially now that we're all working in our own homes here. And then finally, the last thing is resilience. And we all know that the pandemic is not over. It's not a sprint, and it will be a marathon, probably a very long one. And so one thing I've encouraged my employees and we talk about a lot is our resilience as a company, our resilience as employees, and even our resilience at home. We know that we don't know everything that's coming. We know there'll be some more curveballs down the road, but companies that can really be agile and flex and pivot for their customers will succeed during this time. So when you put that all together, whether it's leadership or listening to your customers, listening to your employees, and remembering to be resilient through it all, I do think that has ultimately performance implications. I think companies who embody consistent values tend to be high-performing companies. With that, Perlini, I will hand it back over to you, but thank you for having me on the final episode of the morning show.
Thank you, Elena. What a great way to end this series. Thank you for joining us this season for our second series of the Zendesk Morning Show. Join us next week for a live Q&A where we'll be joined by guest speakers from the series and provide you with the opportunity to ask your burning questions to our guests. If you missed any of the episodes this season, please do go back and catch up. They're super short, around 20 minutes, short enough not to impact your day and long enough to enjoy a nice cup of coffee and tea whilst you take away some key learnings to help you in your role and your organization. We hope to be back in spring for Series 3, but we'll keep you posted as hopefully our world will return to some form of normality. Until then, take care of yourselves, keep smiling, keep learning, and keep bringing your best to each and every day. Take care.